All right, here we go. Let's talk about our first, well, let me tell you the river. How deep is this river? 22 feet deep. How deep is our river? 22 feet. All right, and how many different types of fish in our river? 70. Good job. Well done. 70. Okay, here we go. Second tallest building in Chicago. 1,362 feet. This building was built in 2009. Adrian Smith was the lead architect for Skidmore, Owing, and Merrill. You guys see the antenna up there? The antenna does count for the height of that building. You know why? It's not removable, so it does count for the height of the building. Now, where is the tallest building in the world today? Dubai, the Burj Khalifa. Very good, students and adults. I heard you both. Now, who is the architect? Adrian Smith. Where's Adrian Smith from? Chicago. Now, you want to know how tall the tallest building in the world is? 1.5 towers. That's how tall the tallest building in the world is. Now, Adrian Smith is working on the tallest building in the world. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia. 2 of these towers. Can you even imagine how tall that building is going to be? Now, that building's wrapped in steel with a glass facade, but it's a 5-star luxury hotel, and people live in this building. This building has the most concrete of any residential building in Chicago. Now, when we build our buildings, they're made out of concrete and steel. So if it's a business, it's steel and concrete. Here's your second building. Look at this black box. Notice, no ornamentation, less is more. International style. Who is this architect? Mies van der Rohe. He's a German guy. You see his work all over the world. And today, it's American Medical Association and the beautiful Langham Chicago Hotel. Beautiful. Now, Mies van der Rohe, he was a teacher like myself. Yes, he had a student by the name of Bertrand Goldberg. You ready to see this one? Check out, take a picture of this one. Get the phone out, take a picture. This one, mom and dad are gonna be like, whoa. Here we go. This is Marina City, Marina Towers, the Corn Cobs. This is the most photographed residential building in our city, built in 1967, 1969. Now look at this building. Notice, my students, no right angles. What does that mean? Circle, right? Yes. He gave us a slice of deep dish pizza here in Chicago, or a slice of pie. Isn't that cool? When you go in this building, in the middle, the elevator, you get out of the elevator, you walk around. You go to your apartment, you walk inside. The middle is very narrow. As you go out, it widens. Now, why do they call that a city within a city? Movie theater, bowling alley, grocery store, restaurant, and a K-6 private school still in that building today. Yes, I know, I should teach right there. Gonna do the boat in the afternoon, that'd be ideal. I know, 19 rows of parking, 863 apartments. Twice the car's gone off for a movie and for a commercial. It's all valet parking. We like to have a good time. To your right, the American Bar Association, built in 1987, Skidmore, Owing, and Merrill. You're gonna hear a lot of architects, same ones, over and over. Great pizza, thin crust, Portofino's, very good. Never been to the European, but it looks good. All right, look at this building, guys. Look at this, built in 1914. George Nimmons, the Reed Murdoch building. Another math question for you. This is a typical warehouse, but look at, it's asymmetrical. Look at, count the columns, 6 columns on the right, 1 in the middle column, and 5 on the left. They had to take a portion of this building down to widen the road in front of us. Now, what do we all see at the very top of that building? What's up there? A clock. Why do we have a clock? Well, to tell the time. In the 1900s, it was a luxury to own a watch. This way people knew what time it was and what time to report to work. See, in Chicago, we have that thing called winter when you got the big jacket and can't reach your phone or see your watch. You can look up on our clocks. Now look at this building. Wow. 300 North LaSalle. This is a LEED Platinum building. It's like the Oscars for movies, but for buildings, leadership, energy, environment, and design. Now this building doesn't have air conditioning. Can you imagine working there on a hot day? How they keep that building cool? They take the river water all the way to the top of this building. It flows through the building and cools it. Now when that water comes back into the river, it's warming up the river water. How many different types of fish do we have in our river? 70. Oh, I'm a pretty good teacher. Look at this. All right. Look at this building. There we go. The Merchandise Mart. This is Art Deco. We're going to talk about styles of architects. See the vertical lines, how they draw your eyes to the top. You see the setbacks and the ornamentation. This was built in 1930. It's 4.5 million square feet. You're like, Justine, how big is that building? It takes up 5 acres of land. Now it's so large, it used to have its own zip code, 60654, not anymore. Now there's one building that's larger, it takes up more space. It's in Washington, D.C., starts with a P. Pentagon, well done. Now, do you guys know who Marshall Fields is? He's like a Macy's, a Nordstrom's, a department store. He had 14 warehouses all over Chicago, paid $30 million to have it built. But then in 1942, he owed some back taxes. Now, where's all my locals on the boat? I didn't even ask. Where's my locals? Anybody? A few of you. So we have the second highest property taxes in the United States here in Illinois. So he sold the building 1945 for $13 million to the Kennedys. The Kennedys sold it in 1998, $575 million. Not a bad return on investment. Now, over here, this is Wolf Point. Take a look. This is Wolf Point East, residential, 5 years old. This Salesforce building, 2 years old. Look inside. You guys see the fancy lighting in there? Yes. Now, this is where Chicago was found. The 1830s, Native Americans came to Chicago and called it Chicago. My locals, what does Chicago stand for? Do you know? Strong, stinky, smelly, wild onions and garlic, because that's what used to grow wild right here on this part of the river. Now, New York, home of the Big Apple. Chicago, we're the home of the smelly onions, apparently. Now, we're coming out of the East Branch. Ready? What's this? South and North. In fact, this is called the Junction. You guys seen the Chicago jerseys? Our letter for Chicago is the letter Y. This represents the letter Y, the junction. Take a look. You guys see the white concrete? Look on the fence. See the circle with the letter Y? There you go. Pretty cool about our city. I know. When I teach my students the second day, we do a scavenger hunt. Where are all the Y's in the city? All right, let's come to the left. Here we go. Everybody to the left. This building, look how it bends with the river. That's called contextualism, another style of architect. Now these were built in 2002. They each paid $1.2 million a piece, $50,000 additional for parking, and they all face east. And then boom, look what went up in front of them. Yes, you know that TikTok? Oh no, oh no. Did they know possibly that building would go up? Yes, they did. Now to your left, the Fulton House. Take a look at it. You see the starfish all the way at the very top of the building? You guys see the portholes? Well, look inside the balconies. 5 feet of solid concrete. This was an old dairy warehouse. We stored cheese and butter. In the 1980s, converted it to residential. It took 500 truckloads to remove all the horsehair and cork out of that building to convert it to residential. People live in that building today. Here's your original cottages. The gentleman out there grilling, he's one of them, built in 1988. Each paid $1 million. Harry Weiss, he loved the nautical thing. Look back, it looks like sails on a sailboat. See how he loved that boat thing? Now in 1988, 4 original owners, private parking, their own boat, I guess, area for a boat. I forgot what it's called. And one sold 2 years ago, $2.6 million. So pretty good return on investment. Are you guys going to go kayaking? No, that's not in the plan. It's okay. Now this over here, this is the East Bank River Athletic Club. This is probably the most bougiest athletic club here in the city. Now we're headed down the north branch of the river. Nobody used to come up the north branch of the river. It smelled bad. It was disgusting. Then we cleaned it up and they put these beautiful windows in. Now some famous people that have worked out here, you guys all know, Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, Phil Jackson, Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, and the Obamas have all worked out there. But let's go to the left. Look over here. These are 70 European cottages. Look at this. This is called Kinsey on the Park. These all sold 2003, 1.3 million. Every one of them sold before they were even built. Now down below is the garden area. The second floor is the balcony. Look at that. That's a living room and kitchen. And then all the way at the very top is a master bedroom. Aren't those gorgeous? Rarely do they go up for sale. Now you notice we have open and clear space on our rivers. You can walk in here, but you must register and be out by 9 o'clock. That's the only part on the river. All right, look over here. You guys want to look at these people's apartments? Let's do it. It's kind of fun. All right, over here, this is an old printer's warehouse built in the 1920s. In fact, then we converted it to residential. When you see a typical warehouse with those balconies added on, that's called adaptive reuse. Now, what's interesting, on the first and second floor, they each have 2 fireplaces because that's how they kept that warehouse warm in the winter when the workers were working. Beautiful, that, right? Don't they look fun? I would have my windows, I'd sit up there and barbecue, I'd wave at you guys. Sometimes on the weekends they come out and they'll wave at the boat. It's kind of fun. All right, can everybody hear me okay? How we doing? Are we having fun? Students, are we having fun? You got nervous, huh? You're like, oh, a tour, 90 minutes. No, we're having fun. We're having a good time. Okay, here we go. Now we got some questions. I need to really explain this. Okay, coming up on your right, look at this. Have you guys all seen the dogs in our city? We got a lot of dogs in our city, yes. Now this is a dog park over here. This is a children's water park, a playground, picnic area, and a dog park in a minute. But look at these buildings in the distance. You guys see it with the triangle or the chevron design? Those are 70 European industrial style apartments. I mean, they're European industrial style. There's only 2 of them, Kingsbury on the park and Erie. But look over these trees. See the blue building, blue glass and the white columns? That is Yamagata. That's the guy that designed, the architect designed the the Twin Towers in New York that went down 24 years ago. Same person. Now Montgomery Ward's, that was his business office. Where those white columns are, that's where the elevator is. Today, it's apartments today. Now Mr. Montgomery Ward's, that was old business office. If you worked for Montgomery Ward, everybody had a window view in the exact same size office, regardless of how much money you made. Kind of an interesting business philosophy. All right, you guys ready to see the 5th tallest building in Chicago? So the boat's going forward, look right. Look directly to the right. Down the side of this building, 2 white antennas, and that black building. Get a picture of that one. That's a cool building. Can you see it? You might have to stand up. On the way back, I'll point it out to you too. That's the 5th tallest building. Are you guys going to do the 360 full tilt? Or Sears Willis Tower? Okay, Willis, okay. All right. Let's talk about Montgomery Ward. Who knows who Montgomery Ward's is? Anybody know? Yeah, store, yeah, it's catalog company, yes. Sears catalog, J.C. Penney's catalog, anybody know what that is? Some of you. Now, for my students on the boat, and some of my adults, think of the Amazon Prime today, way back in the day. That's who Montgomery Ward's was. He donated a lot of money. The planetarium, Sheds Aquarium, he donated a lot of money. So think of Amazon. This was one of his warehouses. Now, once again, a typical warehouse, and we convert it, adaptive reuse. Now you guys see the ornamentation, see the butterflies on it? Go all the way to the top, you see the ornamentation up there? This is prairie style of architect. Now, you guys know prairie style, who's famous, what architect? Frank Lloyd Wright. Who's a Frank Lloyd Wright fan? Anybody? You can tour his home down south. In fact, his favorite color, Cherokee red. Second, he brings the indoors, or outdoors indoors, and he was kind of ahead of his time with the open concept, right? And he's always over budget every time. All right, over here to your right, look at this building, the Domain. This is a gorgeous building, and this was Montgomery Ward's main business warehouse. Now, when Montgomery Ward sold the building, another company came in. They opened one of the closet doors. They found 250 metal roller skates. You know the metal roller skates that go over your tennis shoes? Yes. So if you work for Montgomery Ward's, you came to work, you put on your metal roller skates, you grabbed a person's order, you grabbed a box, you roller skated throughout this building, grabbed the merchandise, put it in the box, and roller skated to the end and mailed it off. So if you didn't know how to roller skate, what did they do? Well, that's a good point, but they taught you how to roller skate. So pretty cool, right? You get the exercise on the job. I think it's pretty cool, right? Since I have students on the boat, so we had that thing called the Great Depression, and they struggled. Montgomery Ward's, he did a contest every year with his workers, and one of his workers wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Look at that, useless information. An 8th grade teacher, 7th and 8th grade teacher. To your right, that's Goose Island. What's going there? Well, they say residential, then they say commercial. We don't know what's going to go there. In the distance, Kendall College, which is my favorite place to eat in the city. Kendall College is it's a culinary school, right? COVID, they closed, and then they reopened. They're on Michigan Avenue overlooking Millennium Park and the lake. In fact, when I moved from California to Chicago during COVID, bless you, it was interesting. People came to visit because they're like, we moved to Chicago, we're coming to visit. So I was like a tourist in my own city, so I had to find somewhere where I could get a good, decent amount of food for a reasonable price. So I looked at Kendall College Culinary School. They serve a 5-course meal for $45. Still today, it's $45. Is that pretty cool? Yeah, I know. And it's fancy because they're students. They're 19 and 20-year-old students. They walk you to your table. You can order a bottle of wine, but you might have to teach them how to open it because they're 19 and 20-year-olds. So it's fun. But I've been 15 times, so it's very good. It's closed right now because they're out for school, and it'll reopen in September. So remember that when you come back to the city. And now they serve cocktails because they have a mixology class. So pretty cool, right? All right, we're gonna go back into the city and we're gonna talk about the Chicago Tribune. Does anybody get a newspaper today? No. Students, do you guys know what a newspaper is? Yeah, okay. Well, back in the day, we used to get this thing called newspaper. We used to wrap our textbooks. Now we don't have textbooks, right? We have Chromebooks. But this was the old printer's press and newspapers. Now, the other thing is I'm going to talk about this area, what's going up, and I'm going to talk about the history. So if you want to go get another beverage and not miss any buildings, this is a good time to go. Go see Shannon. She has a heavy pour. If you want a Chicago pour, that's a very heavy pour. If you want a light pour, say international pour, okay? So let's talk about this area. What's going to go in here? A 36-story casino hotel going here. A huge casino floor, an indoor-outdoor concert venue. Now people go, why are we building a casino? It's going to be called Bailey's Bolly's Casino. It's to fund the police officers' retirement. That's what's going there. Now you guys, some of you have seen it. We have a casino on State Street, Bailey's Bolly's. Go in there. You don't have to gamble. That's an old circus building. Go inside. Beautiful stained glass windows upstairs, and you can look up above all the paintings above. Now, when are they going to build this? We don't know. It stopped for a while, and then they started building again. Now, what's interesting is look at these huge caissons. Look how huge that thing. That's going to go 100 feet down below. You see it moving? Yeah, look at this. We're actually seeing it move. Look how cool. I've never seen them actually do it. Yeah. So that thing's going to go 100 feet down below before we build in our city. That's pretty cool, seeing that. So anybody want to be a structural engineer? There you go. Now, I told you I was a 7th and 8th grade math teacher. So this will be fun. They're not here. 2nd grader. I love it. Here's a fun fact for you. Taylor Swift, the last time she was here, 2 years ago, she sold out all of our hotels here in Chicago. I think it was like 91, 92%. So being a math teacher, I know it's the end of the year, so students need some extra credit. So they ask me, they know I do the tour. They know this is my summer job, but they know I come back pretty early. And they're like, can we have some extra credit? I said, well, what type? And they're like bump my whole grade up, a letter grade. I was like, oh, it must be a really good fact. I said, I need something for my boat tour. And the kid goes, I got one for you. And I said, what's your grade? And he goes, I got a C, I need a B. I said, okay, give me your fun fact. He told me last week, 2 Fridays ago, we sold out 93% of all of our hotels. Beyonce was in town that week. She had 3 concerts. And the other thing, the restaurant week, it was a big conference, international, all people in restaurant industry. So that Friday, 93% of every hotel in Chicago was sold out. Then I threw at Adam. I said, okay, I need the exact number of hotel rooms. He's like, ooh. I said, you want that full letter grade going up? I need the facts. He goes, 54,431 hotel rooms. I said, you gotta be. I was like, I can use that on my tour. Wasn't that a fun fact? Pretty cool, right? I am a fun teacher, I like to say. Now, let's talk about the history of Chicago. Chicago became a city 1837. And what's interesting, people don't realize Chicago was actually founded in like 1640, 1650. And you guys know our DuSable Bridge? He's the one that found Chicago. He was a black Frenchman, and he found Chicago today. Then in 1837, we became a city. 300 people in our city. Then in 1870, 300,000 people in our city. Now, what put Chicago on the map? Many people say that Great Chicago Fire. It wasn't the fire. We got that World's Fair. Now, Paris had the World's Fair before us. What represented Paris's World Fair? It's still there today. The Eiffel Tower. Chicago got the World's Fair after Paris. Now, how did we get that World's Fair? Well, St. Louis wanted it, New York wanted it. How did we get it? We sent our politicians to bid for that World's Fair. What did they do? They told a lot of lies about Chicago, and they blew a lot of hot air. And guess what? We won that World's Fair. Now, people go, why is Chicago called the Windy City? Not because of our wind. It's because of our politicians. They're called windbags, and that's why we're called the Windy City today. We're actually the 16th windiest city today, and the windiest city in the United States is Dodge City, Kansas today. Now, to prepare for that World's Fair, guess what we had to do? We drained thousands of gallons of water out of Lake Michigan. We planted thousands of trees, and we built over 250 white plaster buildings. Has anybody heard Chicago called the second city or the white city before? Yes. We had our first serial killer during that World's Fair. Anybody know his name? H.H. Holmes. She knows it, yes. If you love these fun facts, read that book, Devil in the White City. So good. Now, who's been to our museums? Are you guys going to go to any of our museums? Which one? Science and Industry Museum? Okay, good. So when you guys go to the Science and Industry Museum, it's the only building left from the World's Fair, 1893. There's a submarine in that building. It is so cool. That's my favorite. People go, what happened to the buildings? Well, after that World's Fair, they were tearing them down, lighting them on fire. Now, what represented our World's Fair? Well, you see our 37 bridges. How do they open? From the middle open or from one side open? George Ferris was a steel worker, and he made the first Ferris wheel. That first Ferris wheel, 36 boxcars, held 60 people in each boxcar. One was open for the live orchestra. Took 26 minutes to go all the way around. Now, from May 1893 till October 1893, 28 million people came to Chicago. That was half the population of the United States. Now, my students, come over here in a minute. You might want to stand up. My students, get a beautiful picture. Even my guests on the boat. Get a beautiful picture looking east. Look how gorgeous that is. That's a fun picture. You can stand up, take a picture. Feel free. You can move over here too. You can walk on this boat. That's what's nice. Look how fun this. We're making memories, see? Yes, yes. Most boats you have to sit down, but this boat is a $4 million boat we're sitting on. It's very safe. We can all 300 people be on this side. And another. All right, what letter represents Chicago? Y. Look at this building to your right. Doesn't it look like the letter Y? Oh, another fun picture. Get the L train. Why do we call it the L train? Elevated train. Look how fun that was. Now that building is 150 North Riverside. And it's a LEED Platinum building. It's won several awards. It's only 40 feet across. Why is this building so narrow? Railroad tracks go underneath this building. Now the architect is Gesh and Partners. In fact, you guys see our boat's reflection in the window? Yes. Look inside that building. See the steel? 8 steel beams wrap all the way to the top of that building. The strongest steel in the world comes out of Luxembourg. Now it's a windy day right now. We have that thing called wind, rain, snow, and tornado warnings, and we get dust storms. How does this building stay straight up in the air? Well, at the very top of this building, there are 2 rollers. Each roller holds 30,000 gallons of water. Now, it's windy. When the wind is pushing on that building, the rollers roll the opposite way. That's called a damper system. In fact, you guys know what happened in Thailand. They had that earthquake. We all saw the hotels with the pool water going over the top. That is the same type of system. When the building's moving one way, the pool water was going the opposite way, and that's how those buildings stay straight up in the air. Now, we even have our own honeybees. If you guys walk over there, honeybees on property. Now, over here, look all the way to the top, the Boeing building. You see the circles up there? They look like salt and pepper shakers. It was designed for the Morton Salt Company. Boeing bought it and moved to West Virginia. Now, they still have a few workers here today. Now, look over here. See this front part of the building? Look at the top. It's different. It's actually being supported from the top over here. We could be under this building throwing a frisbee, throwing a football, kicking a soccer ball. All the supports from the top. Look over your right shoulder. You see that X up there? Those are called trellises. And there's 5 of them. And that's what keeping that building straight up in the air. Is that incredible engineering? Remember when you're in school, the teacher would say, where there's a will, there's a way. That's right. Isn't Chicago a pretty cool city? Now, look at this building to your right. This is 2 North Riverside. That's Art Deco. We're celebrating 100 years of Art Deco. See the park up there, the trees? You can eat your lunch. There's shopping in all these buildings, coffee houses, restaurants. Go in them. Now, why is that building set back? After that great Chicago fire, and we're going to pass the fire on the way, and I'll explain it, or where the fire started. But after that great Chicago fire, we rebuilt our city. Remember I told you we're called the second city? Now, who designed our city after that great Chicago fire? Daniel Burnham. It's called the Burnham Plan of 1909. You guys see the open and clear space along our river? Both sides, 37 bridges, underground roads. What do you guys see in here underneath that building? Trains, right? You guys know we have 26 miles of open clear space on our lake today, and over 26 beaches. They're open every day from 11 to 7. We have lifeguards. You hear that train? Can you guys smell the diesel? Yeah. Now these buildings, it's called Gateway 1. What do you think the next building's called? Gateway 2 and Gateway and Gateway. Good job. Now look at this building. No ornamentation, less is more. Remember that German guy again, Mies van der Rohe. Now what's interesting about this building, it's soundproof and smell-proof. Now why do we call it the Gateways? It's the gateway to the Midwest. That is the 3rd busiest Amtrak station in the United States. Now you guys ready to see the tallest building in Chicago? Here we go. What's the name of the tallest building? Sears. If you're local, Willis, if you're visiting, good job. All right, look over here. Look over the bridge, over that white building. There she is. You guys see her up there? Yeah. Pretty cool. You guys are going to go up there, right? Many people are hopefully going to go up there. Yeah. Look for our boat when you guys go up there. It's fun, right? All right. In a minute, get your cameras ready. As soon as we get in between these 2 buildings on the left side of the boat, you're going to get a beautiful picture. It's so windy. Wow, it's windy, huh? We should go up to that Sears Willis Tower. It's moving today. All right, look all the way up there. 1,454 feet tall. You guys see the antennas up there? The antennas do not count for the height of that building. Those are communication TV antennas. They're removable. You guys see those 5 glass boxes? 25,000 people go up there every day to take our picture. They're taking a picture of us as we're taking a picture of them. Yeah, it's funny. So when you go up there, look at our boats. We look so tiny down here. All right, get another beautiful picture. There you go. Look at those 9 square boxes, all different heights. That's called bundle tubular construction. We're going to talk more about her on the way back. Over here to your right, this is a map of the south branch of the river. You see that red box? That's the largest You Are Here map in the world on that building. Yes. Tour guides for years say nothing was on that building. Then they paid $1 million to put it up there. Well, it works. We talk about it, huh? Now to your left, look at this pink gray granite building. That's 311 South Wacker Drive. That's the tallest building in Chicago without a name. It's called 311 South Wacker Drive. They didn't put a name because the naming rights expire. They did that for safety. Now when we get under the bridge, look over your left shoulder. And I want you to look at the very top of that building. You guys see the crown up there? Yes. Now the architect designed that crown to look like his wife's wedding ring. Wasn't that sweet of him? Yes. Now that crown lights up 1,400 lights. It used to be over 1,600 lights, but it was so bright that birds were flying into it. So they had to tone down the lighting. Now come to your right. Look at this big post office. Yes, that was the old United States Post Office. Now it's corporate offices. In fact, look at a freeway, a highway, an expressway goes underneath this building. Now, why do we have such a massive post office? You guys remember Montgomery Ward? He had that massive catalog company, so we needed a big enough post office to support his industry. Yeah, pretty cool. Did you try to vote from here? No? Okay, you gotta try it. All right, over here to your right, that's the old post office in 1998 and moved next door. What do you guys think of our city so far? Is it pretty cool? It's lovely. It's a little windy over there, but right here it's so nice. So people go, what part of the river are we on? We're on the south branch of the river. So we're heading towards Chinatown. As a matter of fact, if we kept staying south for 30 days, we could end up all the way to the Mississippi. Anybody want to go? A little long, right? We need more food and drinks. Yes. All right, you guys ready to see the new post office? Here you go. That's a brand new post, well, 1998. And look over the trees. See the lobby? That is a $30 million lobby. Who owns the post office? Everybody on this boat owns that post office. Now, being a teacher and a tour guide, I only work in the summer, but we do run all year round. This boat actually runs all winter long. And during the winter, they meet with a lot of tour guides. And they met with this guy about 3 years ago, and they go, why did you build a $30 million lobby? He goes, well, I thought people would rent it out for weddings and parties. That was in 1998. It's 2025. How many people have rented out that building? 0. Very good. Very good. I think part of it, it's in an area that most people don't come over, but I've been in there twice. That lobby is incredible. Now let's come over to the left side of the boat. In a minute, you're going to see this gray building. It's called the Reed. This is our newest residential property here in Chicago. Now, I want to teach you, we got students on the boat. Maybe you'll be structural engineers. So architects design the building, structural engineers actually build the building. But see these gray columns? Those are called caissons. Remember we saw them earlier going in? So we go 100 feet down below, and then we build up. That is deeded parking additional. The next level is the grill and the pool, and all the way up are people's apartments. Beautiful view of the city they get behind us. And then over here to the right, what does this look like over here to the right? Yeah, we saw the architect earlier. What does it look like? Corn cobs, yes, Marina City, Marina Tower, Bertrand Goldberg. Now, these were built in the 70s. You guys see you can actually live on your boat in the marina there all year round. They have a bubbler to keep it from freezing. People go, does the river freeze? Sometimes it does. Last winter, it started to, but it was a pretty mild winter for us. We don't get as much snow in the city, and when it snows, it's lovely. It's spirals, it's gorgeous. I run outside and go in the snow. People are like, you're a weirdo. And I'm like, I'm from California. We love snow, right? You just dress appropriate, you're good. Now, we were supposed to build 2 more of these buildings, but we only had a 7-Eleven out here. They never thought we would have enough population to support it. Now we have a beautiful Target. We people in the city get excited when we got a big Target. We have a British International School, private, and a movie theater over here. Now, the movie theater did close, but hopefully they put something else in there. Now, let's go to the right. Look over that building. You guys see the wavy antenna over there? It's like a radio antenna over the Marshall sign. It's red, narrow at the top, wiry. That's where the Great Chicago Fire started. In fact, if you guys drive over there, you would know because it's a firefighting training facility today. Now, that's where the Great Chicago Fire started. People go, how did the fire start? We still do not know how that fire started. But there's 3 theories on how that fire started. The first one, if Mrs. O'Leary had a dairy cow farm over here, and the cow kicked over the lantern and started the fire. We still teach this in 3rd grade in Chicago, but it's not true. A New York journalist made up that story to generate sales for a newspaper. but we still teach it in 3rd grade. The second theory is Mrs. O'Leary's son was a gambler. He was having a gambling party. They were smoking cigars and cigarettes, and a spark started the fire. And the third theory is a meteor shower hit. One hit in Door County, Wisconsin, north of Green Bay. More acres were burned. One here in Chicago, and one on the peninsula in Michigan. Now, we still don't know how that fire started, but it started over there. Back in the day, we had people on fire watch. Now, Chicago gets the most rain today in August. We get 6 inches of rain. That year, June through October, not a lot of rain. Many fires in the city. But when the fire started, they called the firefighters. The firefighters reported, but the wind shifted the fire to the river. People are like, it's water. Why didn't the fire go out? Well, let me tell you what we did to this river in the 1800s. We had the railroads, we had the stockyards, we would dump the carcasses in the river, we would dump our raw sewage in the river, we would dump our trash in the river. It was so disgusting, chickens could walk from one side of the river to the other. So gross. So when the fire spread to the river, it was so polluted, it went through our city like wildfire. 60% of our city burnt down, 100,000 people were homeless, and 300 people died. Now, how did we put out that fire? Well, the firefighters were exhausted. In the 1800s, how do you put out a fire? You had to get a bucket. You had to pump the water into the bucket, then horse and carriage it to the fire. So what eventually put out that fire? A rainstorm came and put out that fire today. Now, that fire was so devastating to Chicago, but it gave us an opportunity to rebuild our city. Now, who designed our city? Daniel Burnham. It's called the Burnham Plan of 1909. He designed our city today. Pretty incredible city today. And our city was made out of steel and wood, so it burned down pretty quick. Now, we're on the South Branch. This is the South Loop over here on your right. Now, you guys see how this is brand new. This just went up. This is like my second, or I'd say my 6th or 7th tour coming down here again this year. And this is going to be our newest community. In a minute, you guys see the trailer. It says Chicago's next great neighborhood, and it has a big 78 on it. Well, we have 77 neighborhoods in Chicago. You guys got on the boat River North. Some of you going to the Cubs game, Wrigleyville, the Gold Coast, fancy dining, shopping, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, and the West Loop. Who's been to the West Loop? Anybody? West Loop's a lot of fun. I call it the hipster area. You guys remember Oprah Winfrey when she lived in Chicago? Remember she had her TV show? She built Harpo Studios in the West Loop, and it was kind of the Skid Row of Chicago. And then when she moved, she sold it to McDonald's corporate offices. So a lot of fun restaurants, dining, and shopping. You can live there. It's a lot of fun. Now, just today, the Chicago Tribune, now that we get our news on our phone or computer, they are planning, I don't know if it's going to be funded, I think they said it was going to be funded 100% by the Chicago Fire, not taxpayer dollars, but they want to build a soccer stadium right here, the Chicago Fire new soccer stadium here. Now, that just came out at 8 o'clock this morning. See how fresh that news is? Now, I've also been told they're going to build 2 campuses possibly over here, University of Illinois and University of Chicago. 2 small campuses. They want to focus on technology and overtake Silicon Valley in California. Now, isn't this beautiful? All those buildings over there face Lake Michigan, residential, shopping, dining. And look how straight the river is. Isn't it nice? So who made this river straight? Ping Tom. We're coming up on Chinatown. Ping Tom brought a lot of immigrants to Chicago. This river used to zigzag, and he brought in immigrants to make it straight. So we're coming up on Chinatown. We named this park after him. It's one of my favorite parks to go to. And what's cool about Chicago, if you live in our 77 neighborhoods and walk out your front door, in 10 minutes you should end up at a local park. Isn't that pretty cool? Pretty cool about our city. I know. Still true today. All right, you guys want to see my school over here? I'll show you. That's a pretty cool school. Look at my students' view behind you. Yeah, that's their view. In a minute, we're going to see it. Coming up on the left side of the boat, we got kids on the boat. This is fun. See the building with the gray, and there's a blue cube in the front, and you see kind of the aqua bluish cubes at the top. That's my school. Classroom on the 3rd floor. I face Soldier Field. On the 4th floor, that's the students' playground. Look at their view. Isn't that pretty cool? So it's roped in so the balls don't fly off for the frisbees. We always do a selfie. They're like, why are we doing a selfie? I said, look at this cool view we have. And 7th grade math. So my first year I got in a bit of trouble. As teachers know, we don't like to get in trouble, but sometimes we do. I was giving a lot of boat tours. Like now, this is my 13th day giving a boat tour, so I'm a little bit tired. Thank goodness I know how to plan in advance. But I was teaching square footage. As we know, 7th grade standards, square footage, percentages. And I was teaching them, and they weren't grasping it. They're like, we don't understand. I said, what's the problem? I said, your teaching's terrible. I said, ooh, 14-year-olds have an opinion, right? I was like, you know what? I can own it. My teaching has been awful. I'm tired. I'm not planning right. I can own it. I said, do you want to go on a field trip? They're like, today? I said, yeah. They're like, we can't. We don't have field trip forms signed by our parents. And I said, well, do you want to break some rules? They're like, yeah, let's break some rules. They're in, right? I said, okay, go get your jacket and cell phone. They're not allowed to wear their jackets in the building in Chicago. And I said, get your cell phone. We're going to go on a real world field trip. We're going to go in the buildings and calculate the square footage. Talk about real world application. So they're like, okay, let's go. Single file, real quiet. We got to pass security when we leave the front door. Our schools are very safe. You cannot get in. We got a body right there to let you in. I said, wave that security, keep going. They all waved. We went to our first building. They're like, I can't believe we got out of the building. I said, well, don't try this on your own, right? So we go to our first building. I asked the doorman, can I bring in 20 14-year-olds to calculate the square footage? He goes, no. You can't bring those kids in here. I'm like, oh, okay. The kids are like, what are we going to do? I go, we got a lot of buildings. We go to our second building, and I said, the doorman, can I bring in 27th graders to calculate the square footage? He goes, no, you can't bring them in. Now I'm panicking. I got 25 minutes to do this real world application. I picked the next building. I have them line them up on the side, outside. There's a camera watching you. I said, I'll be right back. I go inside. I reach in my pocket. I pull out a $20 bill. I give the doorman a Chicago handshake. He goes, why are you giving me a Chicago handshake? I said, I need a favor. He goes, I know you do. I said, I need to bring in 27th graders to calculate the square footage. He goes, you gave me a $20 bill? You got 20 minutes. You're on the clock. I'm like, yes. So I go get the kids. I bring them inside. And they're like, so loud, right? He goes, the kids are like, how did you get us in the building? I said, we'll talk about that in another lesson. I said, but right now we got to calculate the square footage. I'm going to come back to it. So this is the Amtrak. This bridge is the second oldest vertical lifting bridge in the United States. Anybody on the boat from Minnesota? Duluth, Minnesota has the oldest vertical lifting bridge. Now students, that whole bridge goes straight up in the air. See the bridge house? Doesn't it look haunted? We could do a ghost tour up there. Wouldn't that be fun? I know. I've only seen this bridge go up 4 times. It is pretty incredible. Amtrak uses this bridge. It's beautiful, right? Yeah. Chinatown. Isn't this gorgeous? Look at the trees, the purple trees, how they pop. It's beautiful. Even the second grader, it's beautiful. You are? Oh, that's so cool. Have you been to China? Oh, I've been to China. Shanghai, China. Anybody on the boat been to Shanghai, China? 26 million people in Shanghai, China. They have the second tallest building in the world, and it looks like Chicago. And then all of a sudden you're walking to the river, and it's like futuristic. It is incredible. Yes. I went, the other half had a business trip 2 years ago, so I just jumped on a flight because the hotel food was free. Yeah. But I want to go back, but that flight, oh no, too long. Yes. All right. Did you guys see the, pagoda? Did you guys see the beautiful pagoda? Take a picture. Students, take a picture of that. Do a selfie in the background. There you go. Now, to bring you back to my story, I got them in the building. I broke them up, right? Length times width. We met in the middle. We calculated on our cell phone. I had them all line up to show the doorman what we calculated. The doorman said you were 100% correct. The kids were like, we did it. We know how to do that. Can we go in another building? I said, no, we got to run back to class. Well, we ran back to the building. Guess who was at the front door? The principal. And the kids are like, oh no, are you going to get fired? I said, well, they need teachers right now. I'm so sorry for the noise, yes. The kids were like, so you're going to get fired? I said, no, they need teachers right now. They're like, okay, good point. I said, but tell the principal what we did. They told her, and they're like, students, go to your classroom. I need to talk to your teacher by herself. I'm like, ooh, you never send the kids unsupervised in the classroom, right? Never. She's like, Justine, this is not California. You need field trip forms. Here's the field trip forms. Date it for today till the end of the year. Get the parents to sign it, and parents are going to call and complain. And she's like, you better own up to your behavior. I said, I will. 5 parents called me, and I said, I'm so sorry. I broke several rules. They go, we love you breaking rules. Our kids are learning. Every parent signed it, and after that, we did a field trip every month. So I put them in groups of 4. They contacted the building's engineer. They scheduled it, so they had to map it out. We had to be able to walk from school, the time frame, and tour the building. And guess what? We went to 4 other buildings. Is that pretty cool? Talk about real world applications. Maybe they'll be architects. Maybe they'll be engineers. If I had this tour in 8th grade, you guys would be talking about my building today, for sure. Yeah. And they do come on my boat tour now. They're so cute. All right, this is Chinatown. I'm going to give you about 7 to 10 minutes. We have 40 minutes left in the tour. Go get a cocktail. Students, go get a soda. You can buy a soda, hot